Hey, Sister Kate here. I am a contestant in the off-grid homesteading fashion show. We've got a cold rain gonna turn to ice going on here this morning, and I need to make a run into town to check out the local art supply place. And there are some people waiting for me eagerly to come help them. Well, not people. Constituents. All right, I need to get them fed and the goats too. So somebody asked me to do a video on preserving meat. They just wanted their breakfast. So they said, what do you think about farming it out? I think it's always a personal decision on how you have your meat processed. Pastor Joe and I, as soon as he shot the first deer that he shot, when we were newlyweds, we thought we didn't want other people. I know that seems silly because we do also shop at stores. We didn't want other people processing the deer, and so we looked up in the Foxfire books how to process, found the instructions for a pig, and followed those for the deer. And then we just wrapped it and froze it. And if you know what you're doing, it only takes, a couple hours maybe. And there's no weight. You can spice it if you want. You can cut it how you want. That works pretty good. Now, freezing is one way to preserve meat. But if you want long-term meat storage, you've still got a couple of options. One option is to dehydrate it. Cut the meat in very thin strips. Put it in your stove on a lower temperature, like 170. And leave the door of the oven open by putting something like a spoon in there so that the moisture can escape. And just leave it in there till it gets so dry it crumbles. A much preferred way of doing that process that has been around for a really long time is making jerky, which is sort of the same thing, because I say dehydrate. You can smoke it, you can salt it also, right? People used to salt meat. They would just stick meat in barrels with a layer of salt and a layer of meat, layer of salt. That will preserve the meat, and you get meats like corned beef out of that kind of processing. And then when you ate it, you could soak it for a while, get some of the salt out of it, cook it. With jerky, you're kind of combining more than one thing. You're smoking, you're flavoring, and you're kind of dehydrating. You marinate the meat, you cut it very, very thin into strips. Marinate it in whatever flavor you like. A lot of people do teriyaki, which is 5 ingredients: soy sauce, sugar, ginger, garlic. Okay, maybe it's only 4 ingredients. Those 4 ingredients together, and you flavor it how sweet you want it. You soak it there in that marinade for like a day. Take it out, cut it really thin, and then you smoke it. That's the traditional jerky way of doing things. The natives would make it like a teepee shape with cross pieces around the teepee shape. They'd start a smoky little smudgy fire under it, and they would let that smoke get into the jerky and help dry it and preserve it. So you can smoke it, you can freeze it, you can jerk it, you can also can it. And canning is really easy. It's called raw pack canning. Look, we got a seasonal creek going on here too, and the ducks just figured out this whole little swampy area yesterday, and we're in there playing. Canning, raw pack canning is really, really, really easy, and you just cut the meat into cubes, maybe 1/2 inch square, maybe a little bit bigger. Put the meat into a clean jar, no additives at all, just the meat. Put the lid on, process that in a pressure canner. You have to use a pressure canner to can meat, because meat, you know, already has bacteria and stuff in it, and if you under can it, it's going to go bad. So you pressure cook it 10 pounds pressure for 90 minutes. But the good thing about that is, if you pressure can the meat that way, you can also put in things like onions and potatoes and carrots, because the processing for the meat is the longest processing. So they're going to cook while they're in there. And when the meat is canned, it forces the fluids out, so it makes its own broth. That's raw pack canning. Now, venison you can raw pack can. I'm pretty sure they don't recommend you raw pack can chicken, but I don't usually can chicken. Canning chicken, usually you have to cook the meat first to a certain temperature, put it in the jars, and then put the liquid. The thing about canning is this, because I was talking to a sister who was just absolutely terrified of canning. What's going on over there? Oh, you got all tangled up. You ding dong. All right, I'll be in there in a minute to help you get untangled. Canning is not that difficult. The best thing you can do is buy the canner. They usually come with their own instruction manuals, and then get the Ball Blue Book or some other book like Stocking Up, and it tells you step by step how to do the process. And if you do that, you canned it. I mean, if you buy canned stuff in the store, somebody canned that. Why not it be you? Because you can make it as clean and sterile as you want to. All right, so I hope that helped. Let me recap. You can can meat. You can smoke meat. I talked about the jerky smoking, but you can buy a smoker. You know what they look like. They look like a barbecue grill. And you put some wood chips, you put some water, you put it at a certain temperature, and the meat is smoked. It's processed. Tastes great. It's, again, a really simple process. So canning, smoking, jerking, dehydrating. You can also build yourself a smokehouse. I'm sure there's designs online. Smokehouse is going to take a whole lot more work. It's going to be the same thought process as a smoker, but a smokehouse, you can smoke a lot of stuff. You can have a whole cow hanging up in there. You can have, you know, multiple goat carcasses or whatever. Just saying that smokehouse allows for much larger meat preserving than just, you know, these household, like an oven would. And also you can leave things in that smokehouse for a long time. You know, each time you smoke it, it's just going to get more preserved. So I hope that helps. Thanks for the suggestion. I got to get to feeding those goats. They, you know, bad decisions. Bad decisions. All right, bless you. Shalom. Oh yeah, of course it's not going to work.